listening to the Energy is Love podcast.
The Energy is Love.
The Energy is the Love podcast.
The Energy is Love podcast.
Yeah, so I sent that text that you were on
The Energy is
Quirk,
Love
right?
podcast.
On your way.
The podcast
And I totally
for the
read it
universe.
as like,
The Energy is Love.
you're on the quick
podcast.
now. So I thought that you were like on the way and you're going to be here. And then immediately after the text, you're knocking on the door. So I was like, well, shit, that was quick.
It was right on Quirk.
Yeah.
It's just right there. I mean, it's not far at all.
It's not far at all.
My house isn't far. I mean, it's like a 3-minute drive.
Yeah,
you know,
it's close.
so it's right there.
Yeah.
Well, you guys drive by it every day to take the boy the boy, right? to
Well, he's
school?
in high school now. We used to
So-
when he was in middle school.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, we would drive by for every day when he was in middle, but
At least twice.
at least twice.
At least twice, yeah.
Yeah. Our guest today, if it's not obvious, is Cecil Hawthorne. He's a good buddy of mine. We've known each other for almost over a decade, probably.
It's been over a decade,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Because
been quite
when
a
you
while.
worked over there, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was right before I left for active duty time. So yeah,
Yeah.
right.
So he's come to hang out and be on the podcast today, and we appreciate it. And we're just going to leave it up to you, so you get to decide what we talk about.
Oh wow! So I've watched some of your other podcasts, and I mean, I enjoy the podcast. I really like them. For some reason, when I watch them, you just get sucked in. I mean, with your guys is like how you guys communicate together. Or what's that called when you have like great
Chemistry.
Chemistry?
We have chemistry.
We do have
Yes.
chemistry.
And that's I think that's what sucks me in. But I don't know. Talk about anything. I just got back from Hawaii. Talk about that.
I do want to talk about that.
So Hawaii was a great time. It was daunting getting there. So there's a lot of rules, a lot of regulations that you have to go by. The biggest one was the COVID test. You have to have a COVID test within 72 hours, but not just from anywhere.
It's
You
got to be a
have to.
specific one, right?
Yes, you have to use their which Walgreens in Twilla of all places was allowed. So,
Really?
Yeah, I was worried about it because I talked to a lot of my Polynesian friends, and they were telling, I don't know if the one out there, there's certain Walgreens they won't. And I'm like, well, Twilla's like nothing city, so
Yeah.
But no, I did it, and it took an hour and a half from the time I got off of from the plane to get through the line for them to check my paperwork, and they were even telling people they have to quarantine because they had the wrong paperwork. So if you don't have the right paperwork, you have to quarantine for 2 weeks. So I'm pretty lucky that I didn't have to. I mean, you know me, I'm a checklist guy, so I got a checklist together, had a nice little folder, and I was a little upset that the guy didn't compliment me on my folder. I'm like, do you not see what I have? Look what I did, man. Just tell me I did a good job.
They don't give a
He's
shit.
like, yeah, he's like, just go on, man.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, it took him like 3 seconds because he opens it up. I have my paperwork for my COVID test there. And he's like, okay, good to go. See ya. I'm like, that's it. I waited in a line for an hour and a half for
that
you
was
to
it?
tell me I was good. This is crap.
And then you didn't have to do any, like, 10-day, 14-day, you didn't have to do any quarantine. You're
Nope.
just good to go because of the test, right?
Because of the COVID test, yeah. And honestly, over there, they want you to wear your masks all the time, except for when you're on the beach or swimming or whatever. But, I mean, it's like here. People were wearing it in the stores when they're around people, but they were outside. They weren't wearing their masks. So
Yeah.
it was nice. It was a good little, it was for my birthday. My birthday was the 11th, so it's a nice little because I was hitting around on my friends. I'm like, hey, you know,
Which birthday
birthday's-
was it?
my 49th.
49?
Wow.
One more year and I'll be 50. Can you believe that?
That's old.
That is old, dude. Hey, you're right behind me.
I'm going to be 40 this year.
Okay, you're 10 years behind. Wait till you're 40, dude.
I know that it's coming. It's in March. It's like a month and a half away. And I didn't think, because Steph turned 40 last year.
Did I though?
Well, it's
I
not
don't
a
know if it
surprise.
counts.
It's not something we have to keep secret.
No, I mean, I just like, I don't know if it counts. If you have a birthday during the pandemic, I think you get to do it.
Oh, do you get a new one?
So you want to celebrate 40 again
So
this year?
I think I get to.
Okay.
I think I get to.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any of the like experiences that you're supposed to. I guess it wasn't hard for me. Like 40 is supposed to be
Yeah,
like,
it's supposed to
oh
be a
my
turning.
god,
It's supposed
now
to be
I'm
a-
old. You know,
Yeah,
thing.
40 is one of those big ones.
And I was fine. So maybe I did it wrong.
You were
I was
fine?
totally fine.
Hold on. You were fine?
I think I was fine.
We can go back and listen and watch the fucking train
was I
wreck.
not well?
that was
Other than the
2020.
pandemic,
Yeah.
I mean, maybe that's why 40 wasn't a big deal because
She
I was like
fine.
the
Her
world's
anxiety
dying.
went out of control.
I think that was the pandemic though, not my birthday.
That's right. Okay.
Let's blame it on the pandemic.
Yeah,
We're just-
I think, right? Who knows? Maybe it was all about it.
I've
Maybe
been
that's why
thinking-
the pandemic happened because I was pissed off, and I'm like, nope. I don't know.
and the universe is like, you know what?
Okay, you're right. It's not ready.
We're going to
yet.
help you out here.
All right, you don't have to
I've
be
been
40
thinking
yet.
about it, and I didn't think it was going to be a big deal, and I kind of still don't think it's going to be a big deal. But then there's a part of me that's like, I don't know. I'm nervous. I feel like there's, truthfully, it feels like a stereotypical midlife crisis, even though,
Oh shit.
right? That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, shit. What does that mean? Because I feel like I've already gone through what that would have looked
I
like.
feel like you have too.
And so I don't want to do that again. But it definitely feels like some weird turning point. And it's all in my head, obviously, because it's nothing, right?
Oh, you think that until it happens and it comes out of your head.
Am I going to
So-
need to start drinking a lot?
I don't think so. I mean, I think
Okay.
worst case scenario, I just buy a motorcycle.
That's a worst case scenario.
That's not bad,
That's what
No,
I-
you could do that.
right?
There's been worse.
Yeah, no, I think we've done that. We can't do a motorcycle just yet.
Well, you're right. It's
Just
not my
jets.
birthday yet.
Just
We got a month and a half. Yeah. But
you're totally getting
49
one.
49, 50 is going to be the big one, but 49. Well, and I was kind of hitting around to everybody, hey, my birthday's coming. Everybody's like, what, your birthday? Okay. Because all my friends are married and have girlfriends that, and they can do stuff. And I'm just like, well, screw you guys then. I'm going to go to Hawaii. So I looked on the flights and I was like, you know what? I can do this. I rented a car. I did do an
You went
Airbnb.
by yourself?
I did.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So I did rent an Airbnb, which I rented a couple of guys were renting one of the rooms in their house out. And I'm a considerate person, so I was getting up at 5:30 in the morning and out until 11 because I just drive around the island. But it was a little awkward because I was trying to be quiet, trying to get a shower in because they're sleeping, and so I don't know if I would do that again with the Airbnb inside someone's house. But
I've done a bunch of Airbnbs, and I hate it when it's like when somebody's home.
yes,
Like if you're in their house and you're renting the room or something like that. But if you've got the whole space to yourself, like it's fucking awesome.
well, and these guys were real cool about it. They're like, the kitchen's a common area, the dining room's constantly. Oh, I get that, but I still feel awkward. It still feels awkward. And I don't feel awkward that easily, but it was a little weird, I guess.
So what'd you do while you were there?
So one of the funny, so there's this place called Chinaman's Hat, right? So I was swimming out in this bay, Chinaman's Hat, where Chinaman's Hat is. I'm swimming around, goofing off, whatever. So when I come back, I was telling my Polynesian friends about that, and they're like, that's a shark-infested bay. I'm like, well, that would explain why I was by myself. They're like, you went swimming by yourself? I'm like, yeah. They go, did you see anything? Like, this is the time of year. I guess, like, no, I didn't. Like, you look for the shadows. They're like, look for shadows. I'm like, well, now that I think about it, I thought there was this rock moving. And here's the thing. I didn't tell nobody. I just went. So if something would have happened, the mailman would have been like, I haven't been delivering mail to this guy's house for a month, and he hasn't gotten a single one.
That's funny.
So it was pretty, but it was funny to me. But I don't think I saw anything or anything was even out there. But it was nice. I mean, the water was 78 degrees, and they say 84. Because I was worried about it. I was like, so when I got there, I was like, I put my feet. I'm like, whoa, this is warm. So everywhere I would just drive down the road, and I saw an empty beach, hop out of the Jeep, and just go
swimming with the sharks.
Yeah, with the sharks. And then I just took a carry-on, and some of the people were like, that's all you have? I said, all I need are swim trunks and tank tops.
Yeah.
What else do I need here? I'm not going out at night. I'm not going partying. I've come here to do... Because when I did get there, it was dark. So I did drive around the island, but it was so dark, I didn't even know what I was doing. So I was like, I'll just go back and come back in the morning. So
Had you ever been before?
So I went back in '94, right before I went to Okinawa. I did a week trip down there. So everything's changed. So I you have to see Pearl Harbor. I went and saw Pearl Harbor, which instead of like 200 people, it's like 50. And then they were even telling me a little bit of history is that there's only 2 survivors left off of Pearl Harbor now.
Wow.
They just buried another one last year. But what they do is they take an urn with their ashes and they drop it down the gun tube. And the lady that does it, they interviewed her, and she said it's really, I'm getting goosebumps right now, but they said it's really weird. She goes, because when I release the urn, she goes, I can feel the ship just suck the urn right down into so they can all be with their buddies, So that was kind of weird, kind of cool,
That is both weird and cool.
Weird and cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, no, I did that, and then just, I have a drone, so I bought a drone, so I did a lot of drone pictures, because the rule over there is, or anywhere, is you just don't fly it over people. So where the beaches I was going at, where there wasn't anybody, I just took my drone and got some pretty cool sunrise, shots. I'm still trying to, because, you may have 35 minutes of footage, but maybe 5 minutes of it's going to be any good. So I'm trying to cut that out and try to make it smaller so I can get because it was cool. And then I took a GoPro with me also for underwater. So I had my GoPro. The pictures or the video didn't come out very good. It's really blurry. But I think that's because of the water. But I'll work with some more and see what happens.
Will you come back over and show us if it's okay? Yeah. Like whatever you feel okay.
Whatever I feel
if you want to. If you're like, I want to share this, will you? Because I want to see.
When I get the sunrise, the Hawaiian sunrise, I'm going to put that on Facebook. But of course, the exposure's off. So all you can see is the red and the gold. So the mountain's black. Or the mountain on the island that's there, it's black. But that's my first time.
It's still beautiful, though.
It was really, that sunrise was really beautiful.
Wow.
Really
beautiful. I got to go... It's been a few years now. I don't remember how many, 2 or 3 years ago I went to Hawaii, and I mean, I've been to a lot of beaches, right? And the majority of the time when growing up and things like that, when we would go to the beach, it was just in California. And we always went to California in the wintertime because we were typically there for like Christmas with the family and everything.
Right.
And it's fucking cold in the water, right? And so I'm just used to, if you're in the ocean, it's fucking cold. But that's just the nature of it. And the first time I was there in Hawaii, well, I've only been there once, but getting into that water, it was like, oh, wait a minute. This is like really fucking warm.
Yeah.
It feels really
And what
good.
island were you on when you were there? Do you remember? Was it Honolulu or?
No, though they call it the Big Island.
Yes, where the volcanoes and stuff
Yeah.
are. That's where I want to go.
Yeah.
Me too.
It was cool. It was very, very cool.
I'm still a little jealous.
I know you
I have
are.
a really hard time like letting that go. I feel like I'm not a great person sometimes because I'm a little petty about it because I was here and he needs to go see a lot of cool places and I'm like,
What else did you need besides the
So-
COVID test from
see
Walgreens?
how we like he's
Yeah, you want
I'm
to
gonna
change it?
scoop past
That's all you
that.
needed. You might want to get an anxiety test though if you.
No, it's fine.
We'll go to Hawaii
It's
one
fine.
day.
We will, I'm sure.
Yeah. Shut up. That was it though, just the COVID test?
Yeah, just the COVID test is all you COVID test, and they want to know when you were going back and then your place where you're staying at.
Paperwork
Which
and
I
binder.
feel like that those two things were minor. All they wanted to see was that negative COVID. Like I said, I was a little pissed that the guy didn't like my folder.
Yeah.
He just, but I mean, it was good because there was probably hundreds of us getting off the plane that they had to, go through. But they had 20, 25 stations.
Yeah.
And like me, if it just takes 3 or 4 seconds, you're through it pretty quick. But there was other people there arguing with them and
They didn't have a binder.
they didn't have a binder. They should talk to me first.
Really?
I'll show them how to set
Yeah.
that up.
You had that streamlined.
So no, they were just arguing with them and like pissed off, because they can't get on the island or they got to be quarantined. And I don't know, but someone sent me a news article about a guy that was arrested from Utah there.
Yeah.
Because he's there illegally. But what he did is he said, okay, I'll quarantine. But then he went to Costco and started like they watch you, as soon as you leave the island, they watch and see where you go. And they want to make sure that you're, because I guess they were telling Polynesians because you can't take like fruits and vegetables there because I guess they get sick easily or something because I don't know, they don't have the immune systems. So they were like really careful on that stuff, which surprised me. They even let, visitors come, but that's their money right there. That's how they make money.
Yeah, tourism. It's like New Zealand though, where New Zealand just said "fuck you guys" and locked everything down, and they didn't let anybody in. Right?
In or out,
Yeah,
because you're not coming back.
Yeah, I think eventually, maybe this is gonna be a completely shift and change in topic, but that's okay.
That's right. My stories for hire are done. That's all I did. Next.
I wouldn't be surprised if they switch and it's not a test that is required, but a vaccine.
Yes.
So you'll have to have the vaccine if you want to fly.
See, I'm not going to be able to go anywhere now.
I know.
Jeez.
Yeah, we're not anti-vaccine
No.
or anti-vax anything, but we're not really a proponent of this vaccine.
At least not yet.
Is it because of the that's something you never get the first thing that comes out, right? It's like buying a brand new car. If you want a brand new car, you don't buy the first year's model. You wait and see what all the issues
what's gonna
are,
happen.
and they fix them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's
Because they got this vaccine pretty quick.
really quick.
So
And it makes no sense. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me, but I'm also not super smart scientist guy. So but I wouldn't be surprised. Like that'll be the thing, right? It's not have a COVID test or a negative COVID test, but you have to have the vaccine and show proof of a vaccine.
show proof of the vaccine.
Yeah, if you want to come.
Yep. I
Which will
can
suck.
see that happen too.
I think that'll happen soon.
Once
So
they get everybody done.
what else, man? 50?
50, yeah, 50's
You
right on the
excited for
corner
that?
now. No. I'm about excited for 50 as you are for 40.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way. I'm sure it's because that's a half a century. Half a century.
I know. I keep telling Steph.
50 years is a long time.
Yeah, like, I mean, let's imagine that we, I feel like where I'm at right now that I'm not even halfway through my life. I'm approaching the halfway mark, but that means I still have another half, right? A whole other complete part of my life that I get to live and experience and have experiences and all
Right.
that kind of stuff. And so I don't feel like it's a morbid thing, but at the same time, it's like, fuck, there's something about it. And I'm definitely like feeling my age. I recently started going back to jiu-jitsu and rolling and doing stuff like that. And my body, I mean, I'm out of shape anyways, but it's still like, it's so sore and so uncomfortable. And it like takes way longer to recover. Like I'll be at the kitchen table for just an hour, maybe not even that, like maybe half an hour sitting there doing some work and getting up. And I'm like, holy fuck. My back takes forever to like straighten and stand up straight. And I'm like, this is not normal. But
It is at our age or your age. You just wait when you start walking upstairs, your knee goes, what the crap?
yeah, that's already happening. All sorts of weird noises.
Yep, that's the thing that I've noticed is my knees, walking up and downstairs. Like, I mean,
makes some sounds.
Yes, it makes, and it hurts. Like, it's got a tingling, like, sore sensation. And so I've been doing stretches and trying to, because, I mean, I can't run anymore. When I go to the gym, it's the elliptical or nothing. I have to be on the elliptical. I can't even, it just hurts too much to, maybe because all those years in the military, of course, only ran 2 times a year in the military for physical fitness tests. So,
how long were you in the military?
27 years, yeah.
Wow, really?
Yeah, so I did
Your
4 years
career.
active in the Marines and then got out and joined the Guard, of course. And everybody makes fun of me because working in the sheriff's office, I did 12 years out of my 20 for retirement because I was gone most of the time, because I was the hey, you guy. Hey, we got this coming up. We got that coming up. But no, 4 years of Marines, and then I did, the rest of the time in the Guard. And then I got 12 years total because they add up like, your weekends. So 12 years total. But that retirement don't come till I'm 60. And I'm like, well, Christ, I'm going to be dead or not be able to use it by the time I'm 60. But as they count on that, they want you to die before you get that retirement. They'd much rather.
Did you enlist right, like as soon as you could, like right out of high school?
I did, yeah. I got the recruiter, the Marine Corps recruiter actually came. He was at Kearns High when I graduated from Kearns High. And he came, a friend of mine joined. So he gave him my name, and I don't want to say I was a trouble kid. I wasn't a trouble kid by any means, but I was doing some crap I shouldn't have been. I almost didn't get a chance to go because we got arrested. I'll tell that story in a minute. But no, he this would be good for you. I went and talked to the recruiters and, signed the papers, and then I was not going to graduate. So I was like on the verge of not graduating. Well, this son of a bitch, took me in one of the janitor closets, and he put his elbow on my throat and told me that if I didn't, he was a big, like, grunt, big old 311, that if I didn't graduate, he would kill me and they would never find my body.
Okay.
What the fuck?
Jesus.
Well, I know, but you know what, though? He scared the shit out of me enough that I graduated and I joined them. Then I'm thinking, I don't think that guy could have killed me, right? I mean, I don't think he would have. I think he was just trying to put scare the shit out of me.
Yeah.
But it worked. I'm telling you.
worked.
And then, we got in trouble.
Oh.
There was something that went on somewhere, and we got arrested one night for contributing to delinquency of a minor because I was, 19, so all my friends were in high school, still 17, 18. And we were at a house we shouldn't have been after 10, so they gave us a ticket for contributing to delinquency of a minor. So I went to court on it, and I get there, and the judge is like, okay, we're going to do, it was a felony at the time, and we'll do a 6 months probation or something. And I'm like, oh, well, Your Honor, I get ready to leave for the Marines in, 90 days, 3 months. He's like, oh, you joined the Marines? He's like, oh, they'll take care of you. And he dismissed the case. And so the cop next to me was a deputy from Kearns, and he's like, you better watch your ass. He says, I'll find you doing something else. Nope, I stayed in my house till it was time to leave for the Marines. It scared me, too. I didn't want to go to, because they were, at the very beginning, of course, they were talking about prison time, but then they were like, just probation, we'll do 6 months of, I'm like, I can't do 6 months. I'm joining the Marines. But so, yeah, he dismissed the case and let me go and said, the Marines they'll take care of you.
What year was it?
91.
91.
Yeah, so I graduated a year late because I got held back in the 7th grade because Mr. Kilpack, which was the old junior high teacher out here, or principal, kind of I don't want, I say I'm a bad kid, but he told me if I didn't straighten my act up that he was going to hold me back a year.
He was going to beat the shit out of you and kill you.
Yeah, and kill me. He told me, I'll hold you back. He says, if you don't straighten your shit up, I'm going to hold you back a year. I said, you ain't got the balls to do that. And I walked out. I got up and walked out. Now, in the summertime, my parents got a letter. She will be repeating the 7th grade. Oh my God, my dad whooped my ass so bad. I have never had a whooping as bad before nor after that. Because my dad was because it was a small town at that point. Twilla was a small town way back in the 80s.
Yeah.
So, no, my dad was pretty pissed off about that. So, I got held back a year.
So, 91, fuck, that's 30 years ago.
God, I know.
What do you remember any part of, like, I'm sure you remember a lot of it, but I can't even imagine. I had no interest at all in the military. I still don't have any interest in the military, obviously. But what part of that was interesting for you? What part of that was difficult for you? Like, I can't imagine at 19. I know what I was like at 19 and what I was doing, and the idea that that's what you're going to do. And did you go to the first Gulf War? Was that when that was?
So no, the Gulf War happened a year before I joined. That was
Okay.
90 when that happened. No, just it's a culture shock, you know, and going from a small town like Tooele and then going to the Marine Corps where you have not even just the Marine Corps, the military altogether, where now you're taking all these people from all over the United States and putting them in the same platoon, and you're saying, okay, you guys are going to be exactly the same when we get done here, because they break you down and they build you up. And then you're all pretty much talking the same. That's why when you see military, that's why a military guy can pick a military guy out of a crowd. They just know. So I did boot camp. Boot camp was, the only hardest thing about boot camp is the first couple of days there. One of my buddies, I can't remember the guy's name now, he goes, hey man, I don't think they're supposed to know your name this early in the game. And they've been calling you like crazy.
They already fucking know.
I don't know, you know, because I try to be the funny guy, but I mean, yeah, it doesn't work there. You're not, jokes don't happen, you know. But so boot camp, once I got past that part, and actually the physical, because I grew up pretty physical. I worked for my uncle's yard care business, and my uncle was in the Navy, the other one was in the Marines, so we did a lot of stuff, running around these hills and running around the mountains. So the physical stuff wasn't hard for me. The hard working stuff wasn't hard for me. The tough part was keeping my mouth shut and I did a lot of push-ups. So I gained probably 30 pounds in 3 months from just, good weight too, because you don't drink no soda there, you know, and you can only have a cake or a donut if you snuck it back to the barracks and not got caught. But it's healthy, and you're running everywhere. The first phase, we ran everywhere.
So just like 30 pounds of muscle, basically.
30 pounds of muscle, yeah. When my first duty station, when I got to Camp Pendleton, we all had 6-packs, and we were just we were just mechanics. Tell me, the grunts were a lot bigger, but as a mechanic, we were, I could do 20 pull-ups, you know, no problem, 80 sit-ups in 2 minutes. I was running 3 miles in 17 minutes and 20 seconds.
Dang.
But I couldn't go any, that was like no matter what I did, how much I trained, how hard I trained, we would run the hills, ridge lines, fast speed, you know, the back to front runs. No matter what I did, I could not go past 17:20, which is fine. But my first year, when I actually was in Somalia in 92, so Black Hawk happened, if you remember that movie Black Hawk Down, so that happened in 93, or October of 92, so almost 93. Well, we were there in January, or 93, so we were there in January, December of 92. We were the first ones over there once they took the embassy. So that was 19-year-old kid, you know, full of, just got out of Marine Corps boot camp where they tell you you're going to kill a bunch of people. You're going to, you know, be prepared to die, because that's what Marines do. You're fodder. You just go out there and, you know, and they come after you. So we all thought, we were like, oh yeah, but we were excited. Whatever it was, the Marine Corps, the brainwashing, I guess what people say they do, made you excited to go to war. Like you wanted to go to war. That's not normal.
Right?
Yeah, that's not normal. That's not normal. It wasn't even the fact, I get it, defending your country or, you know, all about the country, but it wasn't. It was, we wanted to go to war. We wanted to see action. And they put that in our, because I never wanted that before boot camp. You know, I never even had an idea of going to war. So, but it was interesting. Yeah. So Somalia, that was my name to fame is the Somalia. We were only there for 2.5 months too. And what was funny though, is there was more stuff in that 2.5 months I saw than both of my full 1-year tours I did in Iraq. Because as Marines, you're the aggressors, but the Army, well, being in the Army and being a support guy, we're not aggressors. We're defensive. We're on the defense all the time. So, but I was still the hey you guy. Like I like volunteering for stuff. I like going out and seeing stuff. I used to see it all the time in the military too. These guys would stay in the barracks, you know, 24/7. Why would you? We're in a whole nother place you've never even. Why would you stay here? Like Okinawa, Japan, because they're saving money. They're trying to. But no, I want to go do stuff. I was a guy that when we do our 2 weeks, like in Germany or somewhere like that, I was a guy who would find the off beaten path, and I would go wherever everybody else wasn't going. Yeah, I got myself in a couple of hairy situations, but no, it was. I'm just that guy. I like to do stuff. So, and I think that's why I stayed so long in the military. Is once everything ironed out and I could figure out like people's personalities and what I could say to this guy or what I could say to this person, and once I figured that out and kind of watched my mouth a lot, it got a lot easier for me. Tons easier.
Yeah.
So.
I can't believe you were doing that at 19.
There's kids. There's a guy. The youngest one we had in there was 17 years old.
That breaks my heart.
Yeah. Can't even have a beer with anybody, but you can go die for your country. But what was cool is on the base, if you're 18 on the base, you can go have a beer and you go hang out with your buddies or whatever, no hard liquor. But yeah, that's kind of the thing people tell me, like, you've been to war now. Somalia happened when I was 20, and you haven't even legally can have a beer. Yeah, that's just.
So which part do we need to fix? Drinking age or where, how young we send kids to war? Because they're really kids, right? I mean,
they
that's
are
what it
kids.
is.
I was a kid. I was a 19-year-old. I mean, if you look at me, I looked like I was 12. Matter of fact, nobody believed that when I got a boot camp, I was in the Marines. You're not old enough. You're 14. And if you look at my Marine Corps picture, my boot camp one, I look like I'm 14 years old. So,
Our daughter turns 19 tomorrow, and I'm just sitting here looking at her thinking, oh my God.
Yeah, she could go into the military.
Oh my God.
19.
Tomorrow, yeah, no.
Yeah, she's not going to, but
See, and I tell that to people too. My kids and my grandkids, they won't join the military. I've done enough service that I think they can skip a couple of my generations, And I've got friends who know their kids are going to join. When they hit 18, my daughter's going to join, or my son's going to join the Marine Corps. Why? Why can't that be their choice? Why? But here's the thing: they brainwashed them over the last 18 years that that's what those kids are going to do, and I don't believe in that. I believe in they should have their own choice, especially. 18, yeah, because that's legal age to have your own choice. But even before that, you should have your own choice. You should be able to make your own choices and decisions even before that. It would piss me off when I'd hear these. I hate saying it like this, but it's always the single mothers with the young boys that were in the military or the Marines. You're going to join the Marine Corps. You're going to join the Why? The kid don't want to, So.
That surprises me. I would have assumed it would have been the dads.
Oh, it's a dad's
dads
too,
say,
but the moms are the worst.
That's
Especially if they were in the military themselves.
Yeah.
Because a lot of it is too, and a lot of these guys only did 4 years active duty time, so now they're going to try and live their lives vicariously through their kids.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Wow.
And I think because I did so title, I feel like my kids, they don't have to, and they're okay. But if they want to, they can. Sure, I'm not going to stop them.
I'm going to try and stop our kids. I'm going to try and actively stop them. Yeah. I want to say no, I
Kids
won't,
aren't
but I'm
going
going
into the
to.
military.
I
There's
would.
not a single one of them that's going.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have to worry about it.
I hope not.
I have such conflicting.
That scares me. I can't imagine a 19-year-old. I remember the first time that really hit home for me. We were at, I don't remember whose house we were at, but their neighbor had a son, and he had been getting into trouble a lot. And I think he was 18. He was 18, and he had started to pull it together, and that's what he was doing. He was joining the Marines. I think he had just got back from boot camp, and he was getting ready for an enlistment. I don't
know
have
why
all
you're
the
looking at
fine
me.
details. Well, I'm just wondering if you remember any of it.
I don't.
But I
I don't think I was
remember
there.
you were there, because I was only there
definitely
because it was one of your places. But I remember I had we had calls on this kid a lot, so I remember just so many issues with him. And then he came out and he was different. He was different, but he was so excited, and he was showing you his flags. Like, he came out and he had the flags and he was waving it, and he was like so excited. You don't remember any of that?
I don't remember any of this. No.
Okay. Well, you were drunk then. But I remember I saw him like a toddler, and he was just so excited and proud of this. And I saw all this heart come out of this little boy. And I was like, you can't send him off.
And let me tell you, Marine Corps boot camp is an accomplishment. It's not easy. I mean, and everybody always says the older guys always had it rougher. But I'm like, no, the kids today that go through, I do not envy the things they have to go through, because it's rough, and they don't treat you nicely. Because here's the thing, because in a Marine Corps, the Marine drill instructor, he told us this. He says, here's the deal. If you get captured by the enemy, do you think they're going to coddle you and treat you nicely? No. So that's why we treat you the way we do. You have to get used to being treated like crap. Yeah. Because if you ever become a POW or something, they're not going to be nice to you. And they prepare you for that. They prepare you for that.
It wasn't that just.
But it changes
much.
you. It changes you. Everybody said that when I came out of boot camp. Like, holy crap, you've matured multiple years because they kind of force you to,
It wasn't that he was so proud that it was like my issue. It's that I just saw this little boy that was going overseas, and he was, like you said, he was excited, and it was just, I just wanted to hug him. I just wanted to. That I knew that was wrong. And that was the first time I grew up on a military base. So that was the first time that I saw that spin of it, where I started to look at things a little differently, because you have one way of thinking when you grow up like that. And so when you start to see the world in different aspects, and you start to connect dots that were never really shown to you before, you didn't even know there were these dots that you had to connect. And that was one of those moments. I was like, this is not okay. It's just a little boy. It's just a little boy.
Oh, I know all the time. And when the Iraq War first started off, 18, 19-year-old kids going over there, and and that's it. Just pull them right from their families, right on ships, and you're gone. You don't have anything to say about it. You can't say no. I mean, you can, but you get in trouble.
Yeah.
So, but no, you do what they tell you. And yeah, it's when you see those little kids that grow up and they're like, holy crap.
I'm so conflicted when it comes to the military. It is something that, like, there's a part of me, like maybe 70-30, right? 70% thinks that we should completely abolish all armed forces, get rid of all of it, and no longer like have any armed conflict. We're done with war across the entire globe. Just bring everybody home and be done with it, right? And then there's like maybe it's more 80-20 or 75. There's just like this other little tiny part of me that totally still views it differently than that, views it as a necessity. Also a part of me that because there is a part of me that could have very easily gone down that path and down that rabbit hole and become, I'm sure, like probably, do you know what I mean, an entire career in the military. Because I like all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't like being told what to do. I don't like boot camp.
That would have been an issue.
I definitely have a hard time with people telling me what to do. I played football once in high school. Our parents growing up didn't let us play football because they, like early on, they had some doctor that told them that it was going to be terrible for our knees. Like nowadays, it's obvious that it's, fucking concussions.
Yeah, let's say concussions is the big thing now.
Right? But,
knees are at least to your work.
Right, exactly. But my parents were like, no, you guys can't play football. But by the time I was in high school, my parents had had a divorce. I was the youngest kid. Both my brothers were out of the house and gone. And my mom was like, yeah, whatever, go ahead and play football. So I played one year, and I didn't even play. I don't even think I got through I never played in an actual game because it was like practice, 2-a-days. And I had to piss in the middle of the practice. So I go over to the tree, take a piss, got in trouble because I didn't ask for permission, and then had to stay after practice and do like bear crawls across the whole fucking field. And I'm like, well, this is fucking stupid.
Yeah. What a way to turn a kid off to playing football.
Yeah. So I think, the whole aspect of the military, being told what to do and all that kind of stuff, I would not have done well with that.
You don't even like suggestions.
I really don't. I really don't, yeah.
Yeah, if you're definitely my way or the highway type of guy, the military's probably not.
But all the other stuff, like all the other fun stuff.
Oh, yeah, everybody wants to do the fun stuff. No one wants to do the hard stuff.
Yeah.
Like I tell people all the time, it's fun to shoot the guns, but you don't want to go run 10 miles or walk around with a 60-pound pack on your back for... No, I just want to go shoot the guns.
But I'm so torn because I feel like at this, I hate all the conflict that we have going on in the country. Not in just the country, but across the globe, right?
Right.
All the wars that we're involved in, all these different things that we're doing. From where I sit and from my perspective, I feel like it is, maybe World War II was the last war that was for humanity. And even that probably could, I don't have enough information about it, but I feel like everything now is just about money. It's just about resources. It's not necessarily about protecting people or innocent people or genocide or any of these other things that have gone on and taken place. So I'm like, why the fuck do we even bother anymore? Why do we even have it anymore? I feel like it's nothing other than just this huge organization designed to take money, create money. Do you know what I mean?
And I believe that, but seeing what I've seen and being in the higher echelons of the military and watch stuff, the biggest thing is, I'm going to tell you right now, China, Russia, and Japan are trying to take all the resources of the world. Mm-hmm. Like they're in Africa right now. They've pretty much pushed the United States out of Africa, and they own Africa. And they're not just doing, I'm not resources, but they're industrializing. I had to do a report on this I got caught up in a thing where we were going to go to Africa and help with COVID and help them kind of come out of COVID, because we try to help other people. We really do. I mean, the military, sure, it's all about conflict, but we do try to help other people. And when I was doing this research, I was kind of digging way, way deep into stuff. And I was amazed that Russia, China own the majority of the resources and the industrialization of Africa right now. Like they control East Africa. And they're using all those people there, I don't want to say as slaves, but I know they ain't paying them much to do all their work and while they're taking all those resources that they're getting platinum, all this, and gold back to their countries. And that's kind of, when you talk about the money and the people, it is, and it's a big, organization where they do that. But a lot of it's protecting us from those other countries that are trying to overpower us.
But we do the same thing, though. That's the
We
problem
do.
that I have, is that when we
Yes.
go in, it's not like we're going in and, kicking out the Russians and the Chinese from East Africa and then helping that nation set up its own infrastructure so that they can then have their own resources that they can buy and sell on the national, the world market.
Right.
We're not doing that. We just go in and do the exact same fucking thing.
And we take the resource back.
We just take it.
And we do, we, like Morocco, for instance, we have helped those guys with their infrastructure, and they're doing stuff, and they're doing really well. But like in East Africa, we try to do that. But the problem with us is, I don't want to say we're soft, but we're too nice. So we don't make them do what they don't want to do, where these other countries are like, no, you know what? You're going to work in the mine, and you're going to like it. And that's just the way it is. We're America, we don't do that. You don't want to work in the mine today? Okay, why don't you just go take a rest then? But we're still going to get these resources and, and take them home with us or whatever. But yeah, that's when I see the bigger picture like that, that's what I see us as the United States doing, is we're trying to stop China, honestly. And China owns us. How much money do we owe to China right now? Billions of dollars, right? Or like Russia, like they're really trying to take over these underdeveloped countries like Africa, like yeah. So they're just that's kind of how I see it.
And I just don't think force is the option. And I think that it's so, because it would be one thing. This is the other thing. Like, I'm super huge fan of, our country wants to fight your country, so we're going to agree upon going out to this place and fighting, and then whoever wins,
like a rumble or something, go out there and doing a rumble.
Like the way
Are you
that
making like the UFC?
we're
Are you like, what's
going
the
to send our
island called?
two best warriors, right? The way
Right.
that they used to fight, and it's asinine even, but I think that there was far less innocent people that died because of it. So if we go to like some field somewhere and meet on the battlefield, and that's where the fight takes place, so then that way we're not doing all of because how many millions of people die due to
millions.
drone strikes and all these kind of different things that take place. And I'm like, for what? At the end of the day, it's for fucking money. It's for resources. Right. The idea that we're liberating, oppressed people, that might be like 10% of the 90% of what we're really doing.
Right.
And that to me just makes no sense at all.
And
What
it's,
if-
oh,
No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you go.
I was just thinking, though, if they are, because I'm so torn. I'm torn in a lot of different ways. And when it comes down to it, I don't have enough information to make an educated guess or opinion on it. But from what I have, I think if they are still getting liberated, like if it comes to, I feel like that's important. If we're stopping genocide and some aspect of it, and we are giving freedom, it's like,
At what cost, though, babe?
well, I know at what cost, but I think sometimes
And are we really doing that?
I don't know.
So here's the thing.
I don't know.
Take
but I
Iraq,
hope
for
so.
example. Those people have been doing that and oppressing their women and doing things to other people for millions of years. How are you going to change somebody's attitude in 3 years?
Yeah, you're not.
You're not going to. No, you're not. Because at the end of the day, that husband is going to beat that wife at night for making a mistake. And there's nothing you can do about it. In Somalia, we heard a woman get raped in Somalia. We wanted to go help. Our captain says, you can't. You will start an international conflict. If you go and pull them guys off of her, you're going to start a bigger war than we can handle. We couldn't do anything. It's not our country.
I could. Oh my God.
It was hard. It was really hard. And what was cool was the French soldiers were across the way from us, and they went and stopped it because they're not big pussies. Like the United States, we try to do the right thing for the wrong reasons. You know what I mean? Where they didn't care. They didn't care. Those guys did not care if they got in trouble. They saw something going on. They stopped it. We don't want to cause bigger issues as the United. That's what I see about the United States. They don't want to cause bigger issues. They want to, and I get it. That's their culture. That's what they do over there. The culture's different. It's like the little kids in Iraq. We used to go up to this place up north by Turkey and go play soccer with the little kids. So I thought I'd be the cool guy, go get candy bars. I had probably 50 candy bars, 2 bags full of candy bars, and I go and they attack me, took like candy bars. So the next time I just grabbed and put on my pocket, kind of hit them, because I noticed that when I would give the candy bar to the girl, the boys would beat the girl up, take the candy bar, and they would walk away or run away. You couldn't give a little girl a candy bar because that's not her place. That's the kind of stuff that I think we want to help, but like you said, you're not going to help that. That's you're not going to do it.
I don't like the idea either. And Steph and I talk about some of this stuff sometimes in this regard, but I don't like the idea that the United States is, who are we to decide what is right and wrong, even if it's clear, right? Even if it's clear that this is wrong. Who are we to decide that? We aren't, right? I mean, that's no different than I don't agree with what my neighbor's doing and feel so strongly that I'm going to go next door and be like, this is wrong. And I know it's different.
I feel like rape is wrong.
I understand. I'm not saying rape is
Okay, but
right.
rape is wrong in our culture. But other cultures,
I feel like rape is wrong.
It is wrong, totally wrong.
I can't look at that as in other cultures. No, it's
Can you
not
believe
okay.
that, though? I mean,
We're not saying it's right.
I know,
I'm not saying
but
it's right.
I can't
It's not
even
right at
try
all.
and say other cultures like, oh, that's that. No,
But on the big, huge scale of things, in the global scale, it's not our responsibility to dictate to the rest of the world what is right and wrong. Just as we wouldn't want some other country coming in and being like, hey, the way that you guys are doing things, that's wrong. Like, imagine if it was flipped. And the fact that you had the freedom that you have as a woman in this country, and even though it's not as great as you would like, right? There's as many issues.
Shut up and be grateful.
Not at all. But I'm saying, like, what if some opposing force came and infiltrated our country, and then they changed everything because of their belief system, and they thought that we were wrong the way that we were doing it? That's literally what we do, is we go into another country and say, the way that you guys are doing this is wrong. So you need to change and do it the way that we want you to do it.
You're comparing, in a sense, for lack of a better word, slavery of people to freedom of people, and saying that it's the same thing.
I'm only doing the devil's advocate thing that you love so much.
I hate it. I think when it comes to the well-being, the physical, emotional, mental, like well-being of people, like, it's not okay. You're not gonna.
But it's not my place.
But here's the thing: if you don't understand anything, if you don't know anything different, and you think that's okay, because we turn to the people that are people we raised, right? Our experiences are what we believe is right and wrong. So if you grew up thinking that's all right, that's how they are. That's how they think.
But you know it doesn't feel good. You know it's wrong. So if you take somebody who's grown up in an abusive home, and that's the way it is, and their parents were abused in the same way, and you see friends getting abused in the same way, you still know what's wrong. You still want help. You still want something different.
But
it doesn't feel good.
Do you not believe there's a little bit of brainwashing in that, though, where they can make you feel like, especially like, I don't know how deep you want to get into this, but child molesters. Some of those child molesters groom their victims to where this is okay. This is what's supposed to happen.
I understand.
And it's not until 20, 30 years later they're like, whoa, that was not right.
So I can't look at it and say, well, that's a culture, that's a brainwash. I still think give them the opportunity. Create a space where they can make a different choice. And maybe if that's the space that the oppressed, not the oppressors, if that's the...
But when the oppressors control the oppressed, there's not going to be a space like that.
We can make one, though, can't we?
Okay, but that's what we're talking about.
I know.
The United States does that all the time.
If there is that, then there's got to be some good for it.
When you say we, who do you mean we make one? Another country, like Craig was saying? I don't. Because they're not going to do it. I'm going to tell you right now, they're not going to do it.
That are the ones that will make the change. So.
Step up.
So thank you, France. Thank you for the Frenchman.
Wow. But that's all I'm saying is that if it's the oppressed controls the oppressors and there's nobody else stepping in, there's nobody else who's going to make that space. Maybe. It has to be somebody from the outside looking in like, that's not right. Something needs to change about that.
So isn't that what... Granted, now remember, I grew up on a military base. So the information that I have is like, this is what I was raised on, is that America are the heroes and they are going in and they are saving people.
Not all the time.
Yeah, I'm learning that. But there's still that part of me that thinks, can't that happen? So
99.9% of the people do want to see that happen, right?
Yeah.
But the hard part is making everybody happy. Like if we go into a country, say that France has a union with, who are we going to piss off? The French. But they're our allies. So we don't want to piss them off. So let's not do that. Let's move somewhere else. You have to try to make everybody happy. That's the hard part.
And you can't.
You can't.
So
No.
imagine, this is what I want to see happen. I want to see all the money that is used for the military industrial complex, as they call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
All that money that is used, we're going to abolish all armed services. Like, it's just done. We're done with all of it. We're done with all of that. And all of that money is going to be redirected into peacekeeping efforts. So then we still have like forms of service that you can, become a member of and enter into. But instead of going over and occupying a country with force, we're going to go over and assist a country like the Peace Corps does, for example, but in such a bigger scale and such a bigger way. And so because if you think about it, and it's not going to happen overnight, right? It isn't something that is magically going to change the rest of the world overnight. But if we led the way in the way that we showed up, if we didn't show up with guns, if we just showed up with help, if we didn't show up with, we're going to take all of your resources, we're going to assassinate people, we're going to kill people, we're going to drone strike the shit out of your stuff. We have all this huge, massive amount of, the ability to kill and murder and maim, but instead we have this huge capacity to show up and just help. Build your infrastructure, because oftentimes I think if we're going to change the mindset of places that, for example, think it's okay to beat the shit out of their wives and rape women, right? And behead women and all these other kind of terrible things that take place. Children, right? If we show up.
They do it to the men too.
And just start changing like their infrastructure and their setup and the education. And that process slowly over time, granted it's going to take a long time, but that would be such a distinctly different approach than showing up with force and killing people. Because it only breeds more. It only creates more.
The problem with, I'm sorry, Craig. The problem with the force, though, is that we use force against those who use force against us.
But the argument for that, Hawthorne, is because I cannot see a world, like if you come to my country and you kill my family, guess what, motherfucker? I'm putting on some fucking camouflage and the rest of my life is going to be devoted to fucking you up.
Right.
Period. And I'm going to raise everybody that comes after me that this country are some motherfuckers and we're going to do everything we can to fuck them up forever because they killed all of us. So that's what I'm going to do from this point forward. That's kind of hard to have that mindset if this other country shows up and helps our country and creates a better place and doesn't kill us. If America showed up and didn't kill people and didn't kill innocent people and innocent people didn't die, it wouldn't take very long, maybe 1 or 2 generations before you'd have a big shift and change in the way that people viewed this country as not infidels, as not people that came in and, killed and took and destroyed, but yet came in and helped and built and uplifted. And we might not agree with the way that your culture runs and operates things, but we're going to help build an infrastructure. We're going to help do these different things. We're going to, you might think education is only for little boys. That's fine. Let's educate little boys. Or, we might give you access to the internet, all these kind of different things that I think would be so much more beneficial than coming in with force. Now, granted, this is the one slippery slope part of it in my mindset is that 70-30, 80-20 part of me is sometimes you just got to fuck some people up. Sometimes force is required.
Right.
And I hate that part. I for me, it feels like there is something that is going to have to change that part because otherwise I just feel like it breeds more and more and more and more.
See, and that's a tough thing to change though, because when you do a peacekeeping mission, you go to some of these third country and they're there to kill the peacekeepers because they don't want to see that happen. They don't want to see that in there, especially like we talk about the oppressors. They don't want to see people come in and liberate their country. No, they're in charge and they're getting exactly everything they want, and everybody else is just bowing down to them or whatever. So as a peacekeeping unit or peacekeeping doing, we as a country have tried to do that. But look at Iraq in the first 5 years when we had everything done. They had those first elections where they could let women elect. Guess what happened? As soon as we left, they came right back in and did it all back to the same way they did. So that's, and that's the force part of it is to protect the peacekeepers. Because they have to have, we saw it all the time in Somalia. The Peace Corps guys are handing out food. they were getting kidnapped and their food was getting taken. The food that was supposed to go to the oppressed, as we call them, wasn't getting that food because the warlords are the ones that ruled the country would steal the food for their families and their people. It's a slippery slope, though. You're right, because does it suck that you have to go in there and kill a bunch of people to get your point across? That's not right. You shouldn't have to do that. You know me, because you've seen me work. You've seen me in the, the jail we were at before. I'm not a fighter by any means. I would rather talk my way out of something than go hands-on with somebody. I'm not that guy. I don't like...
Yeah, I mean, from experience that sometimes force, a show of force even, not even
Yes.
just, actual force itself, but just that show of force will exacerbate and create a situation as opposed to showing up without that, right? Like you said, there's times where you can talk yourself out of a situation that could have been very, very dangerous and very, very detrimental, and people could have gotten hurt. But yet the fact that you didn't show up with force or didn't meet force with force, but sometimes met it with something completely different, nullified that situation.
So, and that's the key, though. If you walk into something, the big, bulky guy, and you're staring people down and you have that aggressive look towards you, that's where the force comes from. If you walk in and you kind of give people the soft look, the soft eye, and you try talking to them before you put your hands on them, I've de-escalated more things at the jail by doing that. And you know as well as I do that there was guys that would come in and that's what they want to do is they want to fight. They want to put their hands on people. I don't know how many times I've stopped somebody like, look here, man, you're making this worse. You need to step outside. Let me handle this. You're just making things worse. But that sucks. That's not how things should be handled.
That's how I see the big thing, the big global, like that's the example of, I feel like the United States is that fucking meathead that comes in and just wants to put their hands on people and start fucking shit up.
Yep.
As opposed to being like, hey, let's try a different approach. We're like, well, that doesn't work. How do you know? Like, we've never done it.
I love that. How do you know that doesn't work?
We've never done it, right?
Right.
Our examples have always been, let's just go fuck some shit up, right? Because that's how it's always been done.
Bomb first, going later.
Yeah. Our show of force is always how it's been done.
See, and I'm honestly, too, and I wish anytime I ever went anywhere, I always treated Somalia, Iraq, I always treated people with respect. I treat them like they treat me, And to be honest with you, most of those guys loved me. Like, I didn't screw with them. Like, I even saw soldiers who would treat these Iraqis, because we had Iraqi work crews, they would treat them like dog shit. And I'm like, why would you do that? Oh, because they're trying to kill you? No, that guy is not the guy trying to kill you personally. You're taking it too personal on this guy. He's just trying to make money for his family. So I saw a lot of that too, where people just, I don't know why I can't get, even at the jail, why do you treat, I get it, they're criminals, they did some bad shit, 1% of them did, the rest of them just want to get in and get the hell out. Maybe it's 10%, but I never understood how someone could go in there not even knowing a person and you're just going to start treating them like shit. Or you're going to have that aggressive meathead attitude to where, get the fuck away from me, I don't want to talk to you. Why would you say that? Why would you? I don't understand that.
Yeah. I don't understand it either.
What if we started changing our approach here instead of penalizing and hurting people that come for freedom?
I know you're not talking about at this table right now and in our house. What are you talking about?
I'm not.
In our country alone?
Like, we're so brutal to people here, and people who seek refugee coming in. So what part of that stance when Americans go into another country sees that? Like, obviously it's a brutal thing if we're going to be brutal to our own people or people who are seeking safety.
Well, your husband's crazy because I'm like done with countries. Like, I'm done with borders. I'm done with countries. I'm done with the whole idea that, like, just simply because you happen to pop out of a fucking vagina somewhere else means that, like, no, you're just on the planet, right? The fact that you were born in Africa or born in Somalia or whatever, that doesn't mean anything when it comes to, like, basic human rights or, so the idea...
It could be a level playing field.
Well, I think if we just got rid of everything, right? All borders, all, like... I just find it so fascinating. And I'm definitely like the extreme at this point in my mindset, or at least the way that I'm talking about it, because obviously I know that there's a lot of potential, very big potential issues that could come from that. But it doesn't make sense to me why we're still looking at things this way.
Power.
People
want power. People want their own power. It doesn't. Not even the United States. People want their own power. They want to be in charge of their own shit. And that's what happens. I mean, you see it as far as a city or a county too. like trying to combine like when they try to do UPD or whatever. But none of those mayors want to give up their power. They don't want to become one. They want to be separate. They want to have their own shit and do shit their own way. Like the idea you have, I'd love that idea if you get everybody on the same page. But it'd have to be a playing field coming out. And that's not going to happen.
Well, I think that's the beauty of our country, of America, being as big of a role as it is in the entire world, right? We could lead the way. Like, we're like, hey, our borders are completely open. Like, we're done with the idea that this is just our country because we managed to be born here.
Mm-hmm.
It's that's one of the cool things that I've experienced traveling. Everything looks the same everywhere you go, right? Like, I mean, you go somewhere and there's some nuances and some change, some shifts and changes in the way that the landscape looks and things like that. But you can like sit somewhere and it looks the same.
And people are the same.
People are the same.
Right.
And it's like, it's silly to me to think that just because this is quote unquote America, that we're going to treat it any different than land somewhere else. It's just land. It's just part of this globe. It's part of this planet. And if you want to come and visit this place, if you want to come and live here, by all means, please come fucking live here. And I mean, we have a set of rules. We have a set of laws. If you're going to come live here, you have to abide by those. And if not, there's consequences. Just like everything is kind of set up that way. But the idea that we're going to say, no, you can't. Why? Why the fuck? Like the idea that we don't have the resources or that we don't have the infrastructure. If you bring like 15, this is like on the very, very small micro scale, right? Like if you bring 100 people into some place, suddenly you have 100 more people contributing. Suddenly you can build 100 more things, right? Because you have more people. And so why not just bring more people here? We have land, we have the opportunity, we have the things. I mean, it doesn't make sense to me why we're like, sorry, we can't. We don't have room. The fuck we don't have room.
Well, and I think a lot of it's the people before them fucked it up for those guys. Because they came here and they broke rules, they broke laws, they do things that they shouldn't be doing. So we look at it like, well, we don't want people like that over here. And that's the dumbest, because you're different than I'm different, than Stephanie's different. People are different.
Yeah, we've got a lot of people that are here already that
doing great things.
That are doing terrible things as well.
Terrible
that
things,
are fucking idiots and breaking laws.
Sure.
And we're complete wastes of space, and that I wish we could just send somewhere
But there's people
else.
that are born here that the exact same thing.
Exactly.
Exact same thing. There are people that are born here that are worthless and ship them off somewhere else.
Exactly.
Why can't we trade them? Listen, we'll give you 4 of your good people.
Okay, we're definitely not human trafficking trading people. That's not where this podcast is going. We've got this plan laid out. We're going to just trade people. That's all. It's not a big deal. No, it's not slavery.
I do not. Yeah, no human trafficking.
It's just a swap. That's all.
We're just swapping the bad for the good.
Yeah. We'll give you ours. You give us. Yeah. No.
I like the dissolving of borders. It's not just so everybody can come to this place and we can go everywhere. But think of what could happen if they just joined up and started building together in different places. And I'm not just talking about houses, but like building community, building, like sharing resources. And if it was like,
well, knowledge too and experience.
Yeah.
Like those people do things differently. We do things right, and they might have a better way of doing it.
Well,
I learned that being in Morocco. We would go train the Moroccans. About tell you what, those Moroccans trained me a lot more than I could ever train them, because they have a more efficient, more of doing some things. Yeah, I totally agree. I wish we just open the borders and bring everybody. I got a couple of rooms open in my house. If anyone.
Same here.
No, and there's actually a kid in Morocco that I would love to bring here to the United States. This kid, so he's Moroccan, of course. He's in the army, but he knows Farsi, which is the Iraqi, like the Farsi is like the language, Iraqi language or whatever. Then he knows French, Italian, and English. French he learned, Farsi he learned, but Italian, English, and Spanish he learned by watching cartoons. So he knows 5 different languages, right? Mm. He wants to be a school teacher. That's his main job. But the way the Moroccan army works is once you're there, you're in the army and you can't leave and you got to do your time or whatever. Kind of like it's the military here. But I would love to bring, and he's a really good friend of mine. And if I could get him here because he's such a great person, he would teach me more than I ever taught him going over there and helping him do stuff. And some of those people are just amazing. I love, and I have a very open mind. So if somebody has something they want to teach me, I'm all about it. If I'm doing something that you do differently, show me how you do it. Let's do this, because I don't want to waste my time doing something the wrong way or doing something. There's a more efficient way, and that's how other, like you said about the building 100 people come building houses, but then you're gonna get stuff done quicker too, because they might know how to, we'll say building houses, frame a house quicker than this guy.
Yeah.
and he's going to show this guy. Now, guess what? You just double or just cut your time of doing stuff in half. Totally
So much
agree
to
with that.
learn.
A lot to learn.
I definitely need more information on this so I can be more educated in my.
Oh, you can just pull it out of
Theories.
your ass like
Yeah,
I
well.
do. I don't have any education about any of this. It's all free thought.
free
That
thought.
makes no sense
Let your heart lead
whatsoever.
the way and hope it.
Let your heart lead the way. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I keep calling you Hawthorne. I've always called you
And when he gets
Hawthorne.
mad at me, he calls me Hawthorne. I can tell. He's like, "Look, Hawthorne." Be quiet now. I'll just listen then. No, that's because we did where we worked. The last names are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I don't even know if I knew your first name for a very, very long time. Yeah.
quite a while.
Thank you for taking the time to come sit down and hang out
No, I
on
appreciate
the
you guys
podcast.
asking me. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's super fun. I know that you do a bunch of different things, but one of them is realty, not realty,
Oh, real estate.
real estate.
Right.
What was I thinking? Realty.
Because realty and real estate's the same thing. Just
Is
two different
realty a
words.
word?
Realty is a word.
It doesn't
yes.
sound like it coming out of my mouth right now.
You're like, I feel like that's false.
Realty. Sounds like I made that up.
A lot of people use that in their company name, like Cecil Hawthorne Realty, because it's shorter than saying real estate,
Yeah.
which I don't care. I just say realty, real estate.
Well, if somebody wants to get a hold of you for that purpose and that purpose.
Oh, I'm always available, man. Like I do this full time. So I'm one of those guys that when I have a client buying a house, if they send me one, if we can't go see it that night, it's the next day, but I try to get them in pretty quick. So I'm free all the time. But yeah, if they want to call me, 801-870-6509, or I have a Facebook page, and then CecilHawthorne.com is my real estate. I bought that. I bought Hawthorne.com like 10 years ago, but I let it lapse and somebody bought it. Because that would have been cool just to have Hawthorne.com. And I kind of thought about that. I bought a bunch of, Cecil.com, Hawthorne.com way back in the, because honestly, websites are cheap. $7 and maybe, $20 a year or whatever.
Yeah.
But no, CecilHawthorne.com, they can get a hold of me there or whatever. Right now, I'll tell you some real estate news right now. There's less than matter of fact, I looked yesterday, there was 2,200 houses on the market in the state of Utah. 42 in Tooele County.
2,200. Is that a lot or a little?
In the
You're
whole
look-
state, that's all that's
Yes.
that's all that's
You're looking,
open.
usually you're about
Wow.
6,000 to 7,000
Oh, wow.
on the market, maybe 10 on a good, strong market. But people, because the problem is right now interest rates are so low, people are refinancing and not moving. Because, honestly, if you've got more than a 2.5% interest rate right now, you need to call somebody and get that lowered.
Can we do that?
I
How do we
think
do that with
can
our income?
call,
How do we show? Can we
I
You
got
just have
this,
Bob
to
the
show
Builder?
I
income
got this
for
buddy
2 years.
named Hawthorne.
Can you help with
2 years income.
2 years?
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, no, I don't want to brag, but I almost got a 1.8%. And because I'm doing a VA loan, the VA loan won't go lower than 2.
Man.
But I had to buy it. Yeah, and that's the thing people don't understand too. Is interest rates are good, everything's good, but if you want to get the really good ones, you have to buy. You have to spend money to make money. But if you, owning a home is a marathon. It's not a sprint. Most people, when they own a home, they should be owning their house for 3-5. They say the turnover rate on houses for most families is 7 years. So they change houses because think about it. You get your first house, you just got married, don't have any kids yet. Then you start having kids. When they start turning 4, 5, 6, have 2 or 3. Well, that 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom home that you bought 3 years ago, now you need a bigger one. So then you buy the house, and then you have your kids. They start growing up, they start moving out. Now you got to go back to that 2-bedroom.
Yeah.
When so it's about, people say about 7 years.
Yeah.
But
It's hard
yeah,
to think about even downsizing because obviously, like this house, we're very lucky to have this house, and I love this house. I want to stay in this house, but honestly, it is too big for 3 of us. But if we were to downsize and go to a smaller house right now, I feel like we would be paying more, if not
You
just as much for this. So it doesn't make sense.
because
to do that at
house
this
prices
point.
are going up 3-4% every
Right.
year, right? Right now we're in a situation now where buyers and buyers agents are having a hell of a time, and we're putting offers on our homes $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 more. But not just that, the appraisal, we're offering more on the appraisal. Like if it appraises for $300, we might offer to do $305 because you're getting 17 to 20 offers on one single. There's 17 buyers for every house in the market right now, and I know because I have 5 buyers right now that 3 of them I've been working with for 2 months, and we put offers in on homes, or there just hasn't been anything out in their price range, and then go to the lower price ranges, even more screwed.
Yeah.
It's
So
amazing.
you got to go to somebody. Can't do it on your own.
It's you could, but it's hard. No, I
Yeah, I
suggest you
wouldn't,
go to
so-
somebody, give me a call.
I have an idea who they can go to.
right.
CecilHawthorne.com, right?
And CecilHawthorne.com. So yeah, and I try to everybody. I try to when I put offers in, I'm calling the other agent. I'm almost kissing their ass, trying to see what I got to do to make these deals work, and how can my offer be over everybody else. Most of the time they don't tell you, but I'm a pretty talkative person, so I can sit there and bullshit with them. I'm sure they're probably going on the other end going, this guy got off the goddamn phone. Why is he telling me the story? It has nothing to do. Hey man, my cat just died. I could really get my people under contract. You feel sorry for me.
Yeah, you have an innate ability with that. When you were like, okay, you're on the show, so take off. I would have froze. I almost froze for you, and you're like, all right, let's do this, and you just went with it, and it like took off. I couldn't have done that. I think you were just kind of joking, and then you were like, all right, here we are. Here's everything, because that is.
I'm pretty. I mean,
very
when
personable.
we talk about comfort zones and stuff, we've talked about this before. Those classes we do, but I don't. My comfort zone's pretty small. Pretty big. However you say it. Hardly anything makes me feel uncomfortable. There's quite.
Wow.
He's got me to feel uncomfortable a few times in those classes. I don't know if you remember that, but a couple of times. Yeah, our group that we were doing that. Now that I have that other thing, I work Sunday nights. But the very few people have been able to make me feel uncomfortable. But Craig, he a couple of times in that he did.
He can push you.
He can push you.
Yeah,
that's for sure. But I love it. I liked it. It's So no, I appreciate you guys really letting me come on the podcast. I like I said, I get sucked in, and I used to listen to the audio, but I'm gonna tell you your guys' expressions and how you guys physically communicate with each other. It sucks me in on those videos. I love watching the videos more than I like the audio part. It is fun. So I'll just throw it up on when I'm laying in bed or something and watching TV and turn the TV up, because I'm a YouTube guy. I have cable TV, but I watch more YouTube than I do anything.
YouTube.
Yeah. They have movies on there now. Did you know that? They have the movies?
Yeah.
Older movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what one? I just watched one the other day. I can't remember. It was an old one that I haven't seen for a really long time, and I watched it. I was like, oh, wow. Sometimes you got to pay for them. Mm-hmm. There's ads in there. Too many ads now. YouTube's gone crazy with their ads. But no, I really appreciate you guys inviting me on. It was fun.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, man.